Hello to all my heavy metal wizards and warlords. How you doing? My name is Brain Smasher, legal title. We're here with another 10 albums from my mega spurge of collection updates. Tapering off a little bit. We're getting back into some of the albums that I bought back in like April or so, as far back. So starting to catch up. By the time I get done with all these like 10 album collection update videos, we'll get into some other stuff. I'm working on some other ideas for other videos for you. So hope you're doing well. Let's get into some heavy metal bangers. Certified. Every one of these is a banger that you should listen to. First off, I played this band in the background of my last video, I believe. I'm losing track here. Doesn't look like much right here, but this is a test pressing of Anatomia's Cranial Obsession. So it really took me a minute to, I guess, get a taste for these guys. And they really seem to change their style with pretty much every release. But after maybe the third or fourth listen of this album, I was playing it over and over and over and over again. Finally, it clicked with me, and it just has this morose, doomy, morbid, just crawling, trudging pace to it. It's very, very alluring eventually. I don't know if that's like a quality that... It's not a quality I guess I ordinarily find in an album, but I think sometimes an album that like requires your patience can really pay off in dividends once like the mood that you need to have to connect with an album happens. That connection is just so important. It can be profound. So Anatomia, are a Japanese death metal band, and I couldn't find LP copies of this thing. I don't believe it's on CD, or it's just really hard to find on CD. But yeah, I just had to have it. And the only way I could get a copy of it was this test pressing from Nuclear War Now. The record came out in 2017, so I kind of missed my chance the first time it came around. But yeah, Japanese doom death metal. Just, I don't know, that doom death title for me just like refers to a very, very specific, like, perfect balance of the two genres, done well by mostly bands of the 90s and some now. But I don't know, I could pontificate on that for days, and I shouldn't. Next we have Threshing Spirit. Yeah, I got it right. The Crucible. So this was given to me by my buddy Cal from the Grim Tooth's Very Metal Things. He was very curious to hear my thoughts on this, so here they are. He labeled this as like spaghetti western black metal, and yeah, I was instantly intrigued by that. I'm not so sure if I'm hearing that necessarily, but it is interesting to say the least. It's maybe a little too bedroom sounding to me. The guitar tone kind of leaves a little bit to be desired on it. It is very, very, very nasty, but I think it shows a lot of potential. There's some really weird experimentation with some different instruments. It's an oddball. I think this is kind of one of those bands that is going to maybe go on to do some more weird Bluthaus Nordy kind of things, but it's cool. Next, this was also so I got some giant piles of LPs from good buddies. Also, Manzer. Is this Light of the Records? Yeah, Light of the Records. Manzer are a kind of a heavy metal, black traditional sort of band from France. It's not ordinarily my kind of thing, and I wouldn't say like I love this necessarily, but it's fun. It's just fun, kind of black heavy metal kind of stuff. It's just like heavy metal, speed metal kind of stuff with black metal vocals on it, which to me, God, one of the most iconic intros to a song there ever was. It's to me like black metal vocals with either like speed, trad, or just like heavy metal. Just kind of doesn't work for me very well. I think it's kind of like it's like a lazy way to get your music accepted. That being said, like Shazul is one of my favorite vocalists of all time, so like he's pretty good at it. It's not really what I want to hear, and like I feel like the trope of heavy metal, speed metal, traditional metal, throwback metal has been really, really beaten into the ground, and it's fun to listen to. It's probably really fun to play, but I feel like we've fleshed out every idea that there could be. This is distractingly great. I'm sorry. This riff, how can you not? Oh, so good. We'll talk about that in a minute. If I can stop from being distracted. Orator, Kapalnosis. I played this in one of my videos about 3 years ago, and I think that was probably the best response I'd ever gotten out of like an unknown album that people were asking like, "Oh, I gotta get that. That's great." I love hearing that. I bought a copy of that, which is great. That's why I'm here to do this. I'm getting you guys to unload your bank accounts to bands and labels. Orator are a band who were supposed to play Maryland Death Fest. I don't even remember the year. I never went to that fest. I don't really like big fests like that. But I just saw this name on their roster for some reason. I was like, that sounds interesting. Bangladeshi death metal. And these guys absolutely rip. This is one of the most perfect meldings of thrash metal, grindcore, death metal. It's all just perfect. It's just a perfect synergy. This is such a fun album. Riff after riff. It's non-stop. Excellent riffing. The production on it is just absolutely gorgeous. And I just decided to finally pick it up on vinyl. This is limited to 300 copies by Armée de la Mort Records. Which is funny, this is actually the same label that put out that Manzer record that I just showed. Black vinyl, not much. But yeah, this is the only release these guys ever put out. They kind of reformed with a new lineup a couple of years ago, and I think played a show. But man, this is just one of those one and dones. They're just like, holy shit. These guys could have gone on to do something great. There's an inertia that these guys possess that reminds me kind of like an Angel Corpse, where they're just like unrelenting riff after riff after riff. It's like some bands have so many great parts that it kind of gets tiring to listen to so many like perfect riff after perfect part after perfect part, to where I just kind of like get overwhelmed and I kind of need like a break. But somehow Angel Corpse are a band like that like I love every moment of it and I never get sick of it. And Orator is like that for me too. Like every single moment of it is just bash your fist into the steering wheel, bang your head into a fucking brick wall. It is so good. So like strongest recommendation. This I elevate these guys on high. Orator, Kapalnosis, CD copies, LP copies. You should be able to get them both for under like $10-15. So man, there was this collection. So this record store about 30 minutes north of me, vinyl analog vault. I don't know. And they have vinyl only, and it's kind of like $30 Led Zeppelin LPs and shit usually. It's like whatever, but they bought in this like traditional heavy metal collection, and so I looked at it a little bit on Instagram and I was really intrigued. And they put it out on the floor on Record Store Day back in April. So I went up there and checked it out, and it was a trip. It was kind of insane. There was probably maybe 400 records or so. Some amazing first pressings of things that I never thought I would even have in my hands that were priced, $150 sometimes. But it would be like take like Iron Maiden, every single Iron Maiden full length OG pressings, or then there'd be like Armored Saint or like Saxon bands around like, yeah, whatever, Sabotage, stuff like that are like good, but like not really my thing. But like if there wasn't an original pressing of a certain album that you were like, ooh, here it comes, there would be like a newer repress of it or something, which I didn't understand. But it was just very, very cool to see somebody had curated and collected and just loved so many great records for years. And it's just really cool to see like something like that just collected, presented, and thumb through it, just kind of pick it up, smell it, and look at somebody's treasure before it gets all just dissipated. And so a lot of it was really, really, really expensive. I was really, really tempted to get a couple of things that were up in the $100 range, but I couldn't. So, but what I did pick up was just an absolute treasure of an album to me that I love, Omen. But I wound up picking just an absolute treasure of an album that I adore, Battle Cry, Omen. Not an OG press. There were original pressings of all their other albums, and they were up in the $100 range or so. So this is a recent Metal Blade pressing from 2016. Really, really nice. Comes with a ton of extras. This is one of those albums, I feel like I'm talking a lot about heavy metal here. This is one of those albums that kind of transcends the shticky, schlocky tropes that I get a little bit bored with heavy metal. This just comes off as so sincere and genuine that like when I go down on an Omen rabbit hole trip, I really go down on it. So there's a poster of the album artwork with like different coloration on it, which I think was kind of cool. And then there's like a big normal version of that. That is such an iconic album cover, if there ever was one. But yeah, man, this is about as perfect as traditional heavy metal as it gets. By the way, I know this is kind of a stupid thing ordinarily that sucks. My voice is ordinarily blocked when I'm doing something like this, but I got a microphone, so hopefully you are hearing all of my talkings loud and clear, as well as the awesome riffs going on behind me. To the gory end, Cancer, one of my favorite death metal bands. Recent Peaceville reissue. Melanie loves death metal. Had these on her Born Dead collection site, and I snatched them up. If you're not aware, Melanie from Melanie's Love Death Metal has distro, and stuff is super cheap. She gets killer releases in that no other distros have. I'll put a link down below so you can check it out. It's killer. But man, I love me some Cancer. I don't know. I feel like Cancer just gets gonna shit on for being like generic, but that's their thing, man. They're just death metal. They're just normal ass, run of the mill, great death metal with killer riffs. I don't see what the problem is. They rule. Death Shall Rise is actually my favorite of theirs. Just look at this awesome airbrushed artwork on here. I found an OG copy of this on CD in a pawn shop for $1 a couple of years ago. I think it was Vinyl Solution, the CD version of it, and it's so good. I don't know. People don't fucking love this band as much as they ought to. This is just red vinyl here. Yeah, like Death Shall Rise is probably a top 10 death metal albums of all time for me. Absolutely love it. It's just recorded Morris Sound Studios. It kind of sounds Floridian to me. Obviously, it's like UK's version of a Floridian death metal kind of record, but like an early version of that kind of thing. I don't know, what more can you say about that? Here is the real treasure at the end of the video. My homie Cal from Grim Tooth's Very Metal Things got some bangers in. Some Dead Stock In Flames vinyl from Century Media. These were sealed. These were represses that came out in 2014 of the Lunar Strain and Subterranean. Oh, and of course, what we're listening to in the background, the Jester Race. Oh, dude. So, I don't know. In Flames were a band. I don't know. They were a band. I think upon buying these pressings of these, I was maybe kind of a fair weather In Flames fans. A lot of my friends just are like, had life-changing experiences with this band. But for me, I kind of came to them a little late. And I think at the time when this album kind of came into my awareness, I was more interested in things being like aggressive and nasty and cruel sounding. And this is such a this is a wholesome metal album. Am I the only one that feels that way? It's such a great metal record, but it doesn't have like a ferocity to it. It doesn't sound angry. It just sounds so. It's just like a wonderful synergy. They really were super inspired on this thing. There's a lot of just kind of like angelic qualities to it that a lot of other metal albums I don't feel have. It's certainly a unique band, and this album was like a real turning point for these guys. Afterwards, like I don't know, I'm not really into Horacle, and obviously the Pinball Map or whatever. So this is where I jump off with In Flames. But what an album. Damn. I've always been like the Artifacts of the Black Rain was on a sampler that came out when I was getting into metal, and just the perfect riffing. It's just such a clean and succinct album. That really impressed me. This one, Subterranean, was just an EP. There's a couple of bonus songs on here: Dead Eternity, The Inborn Lifeless, then a couple covers, Eye of the Beholder and Murders in the Rue Morgue. Hank Forrest from Dawn sings on this, but apparently the band had like a big dispute after that, and he wasn't credited on anything, any pressings of this afterwards, which I think is fucked. I actually talked to Hinka about it, and yeah, still big beef between the guys. So yeah, I don't know why the singer wasn't around for this EP, but this is really riff salad for you. I don't know, my brain is kind of like not working for me lately. I've had a cold or something lately. Got tested for COVID, negative, and like my head holes have been just kind of plugged up and snotty and stuff, and I've been taking meds that are kind of fucking me up, and just felt like I've in a brain cloud lately. So there you go. I feel like it's kind of like a half-assed video of those albums, but man, what a bunch of killer records. And I love them. These riffs, man. We're here for the riffs, aren't we? So thanks for watching. That was a great video, and it was made possible mostly by me, but also thanks to the never-ending, undying love and support of my Patreon subscribers, some of whom are... If you would like to be a part of supporting my channel and encouraging me to make more content that's as good as the one you just watched, join the Patreon. It's $6.66 a month, and I would appreciate your support. Thanks for watching either way.